The San Francisco 49ers won 4 Super Bowls in the 1980s, and the man in the quarterback position grew as a legend with each victory. He is football's supreme champion. But Joe Montana last played in a regular season game nearly 2 years ago. A chronic problem in his throwing elbow has kept him out. But now he is back. He is dressed, and he's expected to play at least half of tonight's game for the 49ers.
Well, I'd say I'm 100% at this point. I don't, the only test will be, moving in the pocket, moving around, throwing the ball, going through the reads at the proper time mentally, making the correct decisions. Well, I think the thing I've missed the most is just the excitement of the game itself. And I don't think there's any better way to do it than to come back on a Monday night.
The Detroit Lions face the San Francisco 49ers on ABC's Monday Night Football. Bay on a cool, rainy, windy evening. And tonight, the San Francisco 49ers will close out yet another successful regular season against the Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football. Hello again, everyone. I'm Frank Gifford along with Al Michaels and Dan Deerdorf. Happy you're with us as we close out our 23rd season of regular NFL football. Glad you're with us. Hope you've enjoyed over the years. No playoff implications with tonight's game. The Detroit Lions are out of it. The San Francisco 49ers are 13-2. They'll have the week off to see who they're going to meet the following week in the playoffs as they watch the wild card games. But there is an aurora of excitement about tonight's game that I quite frankly have never felt before. Nothing going on in this game in particular, but there is an electricity. It's all about number 16, the legend Joe Montana. He is coming back. He is going to have considerable playing time tonight, and quite frankly, I'm glad I'm here to see it happen. Meanwhile, the Detroit Lions, a playoff team a year ago, they were 12-4. They come into tonight at 5-10. A team racked by injuries, Al Michaels, and devastated too by personal tragedies.
And it all started last year, as you'll recall, Frank, the paralyzation of Mike Utley. Then during the offseason, Len Fonks, an assistant coach, and the brother of the Lions head coach, Wayne, died. Eric Andelsack died tragically in Louisiana. He was a starting guard. And then the season began ominously in Chicago when the Bears won with 1 second left on the clock. So it's been a thoroughly forgettable season for the Lions. However, they have looked pretty good the last couple of weeks, winning 2 games against Cleveland and Chicago. And at the helm tonight for the 3rd straight week is the 1989 Heisman Trophy winner, Andre Ware, formerly at the University of Houston. So we will see him in action. But let's be honest, for the crowd here tonight and for most of you at home, the Detroit Lions might as well be the Washington Generals playing the Harlem Globetrotters, Dan, because all eyes are on the 49ers and number 16 tonight.
The difference between the two, Al, is the Globetrotters always win. The 49ers, well, win most of the time. A win tonight, and this is a 14-win regular season for them. And right now, they are playing the best football in the National Football League. They've got a rejuvenated running game. Since Roger Craig left here, they haven't had much of one. Ricky Watters tonight should go over 1,000 yards. Of course, the great Jerry Rice is always a threat. And Steve Young, for the 2nd consecutive year, becomes the highest-rated passer in the National Football League. Defensively, they really define how you play team defense. Not a lot of superstars. It's just very difficult to go anywhere against them. How good are the 49ers? Well, they're so good that the greatest quarterback the National Football League has ever seen tonight takes the field in an attempt to become the backup quarterback. Joe Montana will play tonight, as everybody knows by now, and I just have to say this. He is the best that ever was, and to watch him throw an interception, to watch him take a snap, to watch him warm up is worth being here.
And this place will erupt when he comes into the game. Now, he will not start, though he is warming up at the outset. Steve Young will start, having a tremendous season, and George Seifert is still undecided. Montana could start the second half, but he also could play before the first half is over. Joe wants to play back-to-back quarters if possible. It might be the third and fourth. It might be the second and third. Seifert was still undecided as of about 5:30, and that's 35 minutes ago. So we'll wait and we'll see. But at the outset, we will see Steve Young. George Seifert took over for Bill Walsh, won the Super Bowl in his first season, 1989, now in his 4th year. Mike Cofer to kick off for the 49ers. And back to receive for the Lions, 3 yards in, is Brett Perriman. And Perriman out past the 20, the 30, and with a flag down, Perriman gets to midfield, but a marker is down at the 13. a great run back for a team that is missing Mel Gray, one of the top return specialists in the National Football League, who was hurt last week. But most of that run back will be for naught, as it normally is when a flag goes down on a kick return. Gary Lane tells us.
Return team, number 54, half the distance to goal line, first down.
Well, that's Chris Spielman, their great linebacker, who also plays on special teams. So Andre Ware, third year in the league, played sparingly until 3 weeks ago. Now the starter. Barry Sanders, the great running back. And then the four wideouts. Green, Perriman, Farr, and Herman Moore developing into a top-notch wideout. Lomas Brown will go to the Pro Bowl. Bowens, McKnight, Lynn, and Conover, the rest of the offensive front. From the 8-yard line, Ware in the end zone under pressure and avoids the safety as he comes out of the end zone, but gets sacked at the 5-yard line. Tim Harris with the sack. It'll be second down and 13. The 49er defense, they've gotten better as the year has progressed. Holt will go to the Pro Bowl with Carter and Washington on the outside. Harris, DeLong, Walter, and Romanowski are the linebackers. You've got Hanks and Don Griffin at the corners, Whitmore and the rookie Dana Hall, the safeties. Wayne Fonts and his Lions backed up in their own end, second and 13 from the 5. And this is Barry Sanders giving them breathing room, takes it to the 9. He is tackled by Pierce Holt and also Thane Gash coming up from the secondary. It'll be 3rd and 9.
49ers using a similar defense to what we saw against Atlanta in a Monday night game. They are using 6 defensive backs, 1 middle linebacker, that's Romanowski, and 4 down linemen. It's the kind of defense that you can run the football against, but you get excellent pass coverage. And how well have the 49ers done against the run and shoot? Well, the 2 times that they met Atlanta, they destroyed them 56-17 and 41-3. They've been very strong against a run and shoot defense.
3rd and 9 for the Lions on the game's opening drive. A blitz, and Sanders able to dart through the middle. Typical Barry Sanders run. First down, out to the 25-yard line. Merton Hanks comes up to make the tackle.
That's what the advantage you have of running the football is the 1 linebacker. Once you come through that front 4, your DBs are all locked up pretty much in pass defense, and you'll get that quick break. And for Barry Sanders, a fraction of a second, and he just erupts for yardage.
Well, actually, the 49ers came with the blitz. You see Gash, he's picked up. They came with the blitz on the other side. It was the perfect defensive call for the 49ers, just extremely well blocked by the Lions. They smelled that run up the middle by Sanders, called the right defense, and were just out executed by the Lions.
15-yard gain for Barry Sanders, who'll be going to the Pro Bowl. And this time it is Ed Tillison, a rookie, and Tillison bulls his way close to a first down. Tillison, a rookie from Northwest Missouri State. He's the first player from that school ever to be drafted, and in a backup role to Sanders. And when you're a backup to Sanders, you are a deep backup.
And he brought a load with him. Watch him deliver the blow at the end of this run. Merton Hanks, number 36, is repelled. Hanks put his head down and tried to take on Tillison and was rejected and landed about 3 yards back.
That time you got to look at the Lions and their tight end offense, which they have tended to go to a lot more this year than they did last year. And they brought in a couple of excellent big blocking tight ends in Johnson and McCumore, and Johnson is in there in the moment.
I mentioned you're a deep backup when you back up Sanders. Sanders, coming into the game, had carried the ball 293 times, and all of the other running backs for the Lions, 12.
Well, Merton Hanks knows who he is now. I doubt he spent a lot of time studying number 34, but he'll keep an eye out for him now.
It was a first down from the 35-yard line. It's Sanders again. And Barry picks up close to 5. He is guided out of bounds by Michael Walter. 3 minutes into the game, no score. The Lions' opening drive.
We asked Wayne Fonts about Barry Sanders and if this would become a sloppy field tonight. It was raining quite heavily just about an hour ago, and it's been raining here in the Bay Area the last couple of days. And he said it makes no difference, even though they play on artificial turf back in the Silverdome. He said Barry loves a sloppy field as much as anything.
And he's got one tonight. I mean, even under dry conditions, this is pretty much of a bog.
A lot of runners have a difficult time going to a slow grass field. Barry Sanders not one of them.
2nd and 6, and here he is again. And Barry Sanders, for a first down, takes it up to the 50-yard line. So the Lions, who began this drive at their own 8, have moved to midfield. Whitmore and Hall converge on that last tackle.
That time a double tight end for the Detroit Lions, who have gotten away from just the 4 wide receiver offense that they felt just was not all that productive for him a year ago. Talked to Wayne Fonts, and you tend to believe they're going to get further away from it. But that time, Jimmy Johnson and Thomas McLemore were both in there, the 2 blocking tight ends.
As Al mentioned, pretty doggone good field position for a team that on their opening play almost got trapped for a safety.
And working against a team, the 49ers, that has not allowed a point this season on an opponent's first drive. Here's Sanders swinging to the outside. And it turns what might have been a 2-yard loss into at least a minimal gain, a yard maybe. Merton Hanks makes the tackle. And Pierce Holt also went on the play. 49ers trying to become the only NFL team in 7 years to not allow a point on an opponent's first drive of a game.
You know, if there is any question about the 49ers defense, and there is a lot of question, is against the pass. They are 27th in the league after 15 games. And coming off, you see Pierce Holt, already not in action tonight's Kevin Fagan, but they have been tough against the run, this 49er defense, ranked 3rd in the league.
2nd and 9 from the 49-yard line. Ware back up top, throws to the 44-yard line. The catch is made there. It'll set up a 3rd and 5, and it's Barry Sanders making the catch. Sanders with his 29th catch of the season as Holt takes a moment on the 49er bench. A reminder that the playoffs begin this Saturday, and we are first up from Minneapolis at 12 noon Eastern and 9 a.m. Pacific this Saturday. The Redskins against the Vikings, and then our second game, the San Diego Chargers in the playoffs for the first time in 10 years, hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. 3rd and 5 for Detroit at the San Francisco 45, and Andre Ware has to take a timeout. Play clock was down to 6. Lions spend their first timeout on the game's opening drive. We played 5 minutes, 13 seconds. Lions nothing, 49ers nothing.
Field for the 49ers, and it's fun to see a non-glamorous player get some recognition. Pierce going to the Pro Bowl this year, only 5.5 sacks on the year, and those aren't glamour numbers, but maybe the best run stopper at that position in the league. Certainly the 49ers' best defensive lineman, and it's nice to see a guy rewarded for good work and yet not spectacular sack numbers.
3rd and 5 for Detroit at the San Francisco 45-yard line. And Ware on the run throws, and the catch is made by the emerging Herman Moore. Herman, 6'3", 210, second year out of Virginia, and coming into his own this season, and he's been on the other end of a lot of Lion bombs this year.
He made a good move for his quarterback, Andre Ware, who got in trouble, had to spin out to the right side. Herman Moore had come. Here he is, top of your screen. Now he breaks back into the inside. Now he looks and sees his quarterback in trouble. Now he takes it to the outside, giving Ware an angle with which he can throw the ball, gets the completion of the first down. Big man, and they are really high on Herman Moore, a first-round pick of a year ago.
And when you average 20 yards a catch, you are on the other end of a lot of bombs. From the 33, it's a draw. This is Sanders finding no room at all. Smelled out by number 96, Dennis Brown. ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Bud Light. 2nd and 13. Detroit at the San Francisco 36. 8:35 to go in the scoreless first quarter. Ware, quarterback draw. And he takes it to the 31-yard line, and that'll set up a 3rd and 8.
Ware moves very well on the ground, averaging a little over 6 yards per scramble. And there's one problem as you look at the videos. I don't know whether you picked it up, Dan or Alan. As I watched him play, he seems to zero in on his one receiver where he's going to throw the football. And that is really dangerous against the 49ers. They sit back there in their zone and they read those eyes as good as any team And Ware has a tendency to lock up on a receiver and just stay with him.
Wouldn't you think, though, that that's a byproduct of not playing? He didn't even play until the 13th week this season. He was a spectator all year.
That might be one of the reasons, too.
3rd and 8 at the 31-yard line. And Ware going deep, but too deep. Intended for Willie Green. And Willie Green covered on the play by Mike Magruder. So it'll be 4th down. And if the Lions opt to attempt a field goal, they're looking at about a 48-yard attempt.
And when you're 5 and 10, though, all the conventional rules go out the window as far as what you can and cannot do in a situation like this.
We're seeing one go out right here.
49, I guess, because the wind, even in a playoff situation, might dictate them not going for the field goal, but they're going for the first down.
7:42 to go, opening quarter, 4th down and 8. 49ers have not seen the football yet. Ware scrambles, slides to a stop at the 20, and that's another first down for the Lions on a drive that began at their own 8-yard line.
Heads-up play by Andre Ware once again. The 49ers coming with the blitz. The blitz was picked up, but he did not have time to deliver the ball downfield. Pulls it down, splits the gap, and gets the first down. Here comes the blitz right up the middle. Receiver covered, pulls it down. I'm out of here.
Andre has to remember something, though, Frank. The ball is spotted where you hit the ground, not where you end up. You don't get the byproduct of your slide, and he barely made it by about a yard. He slid another 2 or 3, but doesn't get credit for that.
They put it just inside the 22, but enough for a first down. And here is Barry Sanders. And they stop him again the second time. He has been stopped for a loss on this drive. Tim Harris and Garen Veris in on the tackle.
Tim Harris certainly knows all about this Detroit offense, having spent his years in Green Bay, where they played the Lions twice a year in the NFC Central, and he was right in on that. Barry Sanders, like no other running back in the NFL, makes you stay at home, makes you honor your responsibilities. You cannot lose contain. A run to the left ends up trying to break containment on the right. There is no such thing as a designated hole for Barry Sanders.
4-yard loss, 2nd and 14 at the 26-yard line. And Ware floats one about 15 yards out of bounds, intended for Brett Perriman, who is the Lions' leading receiver. He's caught 63 coming into the game tonight. Long opening drive. The Lions have had the ball for 8 minutes, 51 seconds. They've converted 2 third downs and 1 4th down along the way. And there it is.
Not often you'll see a team recover from having a good kickoff return negated because of a penalty. And starting in their end zone, this is quite a remarkable drive by Wayne Font's club.
3rd down and 14. Ware's got to get him to the 10 to convert, and it's dropped at the 10-yard line. Willie Green got his hands on it, but couldn't hold on, and the Lions will send the field goal unit in.
Willie Green came open, and Andre Ware put it right in there. But again, if you caught Ware, he's looking all the way. 3 receivers to the right, never even gave him a glance. He locked up on Green. Good pass, should have been caught. And Green just didn't handle it.
Jason Hanson now, a rookie, the only kicker in the league to have not missed from 45 yards and in, and this is a 44-yarder.
Boy, a good look at his eyes there, trying to gauge the wind, looking up at the top of the goalpost.
So the man who took longtime favorite Eddie Murray's place and has done a great job continues, and that's 18 straight from 45 and in.
Boy,
I'd say that's good gauging.
That's the drive that goes out over the trees in the woods to the right and hooks right back into the fairway.
Hogan's Alley, they call it.
For a birdie 3, with 5:59 to go in the first quarter, the Lions have the lead.
With a strong right hand, you bring it in.
Redskins as they battle the Minnesota Vikings to kick off an NFL playoff doubleheader Saturday on ABC Sports.
For the only time this season, the 49ers have yielded points on an opening drive. The Lions get 3. They had the ball for 10 minutes, 1 second. And that man, the rookie from Washington State, Jason Hanson, will kick off to the 49ers. Alan Grant and Marc Logan are back to receive. bouncing at the 18. Juggled at the 11 and then picked up finally by Marc Logan, who stumbles forward to the 17. And that's where the 49ers and Steve Young will take command with 5:51 to go in the first quarter in San Francisco. Steve Young having a fabulous season, a near perfect season. He threw for over 400 yards in a loss to Buffalo. Can't blame him. The only other game the Niners lost to Phoenix, he played only a quarter and left because of the flu. And back to pass on first down. And he drops it off underneath to Marc Logan, and he takes it out to the 30-yard line. Logan, who is filling in for Tom Rathman, who gets a rest tonight, takes Rathman's spot in the pass offense. And there is Tom Rathman.
How many times have you seen Rathman take that very same pass as a checkoff?
The rest of the offense now. Ricky Waters, a great season, the running back. Marc Logan, the other back. Rice and Sherrard are the wideouts. Brent Jones, the tight end. Wallace going to the Pro Bowl this year. McIntyre, Sapolu, Foster, and Boatswain on the other side. And here is Ricky Waters. Ricky Waters got up to 1,000 yards against Tampa Bay for the season last week. Then he lost 2 on the next play and didn't see the ball again. So he's at 998 coming in.
I think he just got it again.
Well, real
you're
close.
right. He got a yard.
Spindler, Lawrence Pete, and Pritchett, the 3 down linemen. Jameson is a little shaky tonight, but will start. Spielman, another great year. Gibson and Scroggins. And then Crockett and Jenkins are the corners. William White and Benny Blades are the safeties. A gain of 1, 2nd and 9. So Waters has 999. From the 31-yard line. Young firing over the middle and stop the presses. Jerry Rice drops one.
Well, I'll tell you, that wind in there, Young, under a little bit of pressure from the left side. He saw the pressure being left-handed, and he zapped that in to Jerry Rice. Ordinarily, he'll come up with it, but a difficult handle for Rice. Young can really smoke it, and he did.
Still
Chilly night.
a rare sighting.
And he had to watch 9 minutes of Detroit offense. But you're right. You won't see him many times.
3rd down and 9 from the 31-yard line. And underneath, this is Waters. And Waters trying to get that first down and bulls forward and gets it. He bulled right past Melvin Jenkins and threw him to pick up the first down. Spielman also in on the tackle. Ricky Waters, not a rookie in a technical sense, but he spent all of last year on injured reserve, his first full season in the league.
And that's his 43rd reception of 1992 for almost a 10-yard per reception average. And when you're talking about a guy who's going to approach 50 receptions and have an excess of 1,000 yards, he is certainly filling the shoes that Roger Craig left empty for a long time after he left here.
Here's Waters, and he's over 1,000 again for the 2nd time this season. He's into 4 figures behind McIntyre and Wallace, and now the key is to stay there. Not like last week.
I'm going to keep this one.
Well, remember what Dave Hampton in Atlanta a few years ago?
Oh, a lot of years ago. He went over 1,000 and then lost 6 yards on a carry and didn't get his 1,000. It was at the end of the season and has to live with that the rest of his life. Ricky's got his 1,004, and I think somebody's going to have to work awful hard to throw him for negative numbers.
He really turned into what they expected he would be this year. When Dexter Carter, who started much of last year, was hurt in training camp, well, he really emerged. Ricky Waters, 1,000-yard rusher.
Now he's out here at receiver.
2nd and 5, and they send everybody into the pattern and hit Brent Jones, the tight end, and that's a first down as Jones is tackled at the Detroit 44-yard line by Jameson and Spielman. 2:45 to go, first quarter, 3-0 Detroit.
And Brent Jones going to hurt his first Pro Bowl as well. And
that's been an oversight, Dan.
Oh, yeah. He's excited. Frank, you remember the feeling of going to Pro Bowl #1. It's so special because you are recognized by the other players and the coaches. And I know there's Super Bowl rings involved, and his shelf is full, but he was awful excited yesterday when we talked to him.
On the subject of 49er receivers, there's John Taylor, the great wideout. They're resting him in effect. He could play if this was a meaningful game tonight, but Seifert gives him the night off. Young going deep for Rice, and Jerry Rice almost made a great one-handed catch, but couldn't hang on. Ray Crockett might have got a hand in there.
I think he was juggling it, and they are going to call that incomplete. It was late in there, absolutely perfectly by Young.
Well, Rice is arguing that Crockett had a hold of him before the ball got there. He's arguing that Crockett had his left arm. Let's see if indeed he did. Tough to tell from that angle. You could see that Crockett did have his left arm on Rice's arm. I mean, his arm on Rice's left arm, and that was the argument that Jerry was making. Of course, Jerry's making it to a very partisan crowd here at Candlestick.
That'll make it 2nd down and 10 at the 44. 2:08 to go in the first quarter. 3-0 Detroit. Here is Waters inside the 40, and Ricky Waters takes it to the 35-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and short.
Had a quick look at John Taylor on the sidelines a while ago. Broken fibula early in the year. Came back 4 weeks ago, but they're going to rest him up. There he is again. But that leaves the 49ers just with 3 wide receivers. Jerry Rice, Mike Sherrard, and Odessa Turner. But a moment ago we talked about Brent Jones. He in effect is almost like a wide receiver coming out of that tight end position.
3rd down and 1, and there is Joe Montana, who will see action tonight. 3rd down and 1. Amp Lee on a sweep, the rookie, and a good-looking rookie who ran for 143 yards against Minnesota behind a McIntyre block and another 49er first down.
Is that a great look, Dan, of what makes the 49ers so effective to the outside? They are great athletes. They're not huge offensive linemen. They are just great athletes.
Guy McIntyre, number 62, is the best pulling guard in the National Football League. Look at him get into his man. He drives Melvin Jenkins back 7 or 8 yards after almost losing his footing at the line of scrimmage. He runs in the open field better than any guard in the National Football League.
He sent Jenkins from the $30 seats to the $15 seats.
There aren't any $15 seats in this ball.
Not here. Steve Young throwing deep into the end zone. No, out of the end zone is Mike Sherrard, who has yet to score a touchdown this season, and it's about as close as he's come.
Steve Young wanted to go to Jerry Rice. Rice was covered, and by the time Young came back off of Rice, picked up Sherrard, he released the ball. It was too late. Both feet have to come down inbounds and out of the end zone. Just a little late. Steve Young locked up too long with Jerry Rice.
That'll make it 2nd down and 10. And there's a wraparound draw to Amp Lee, but that doesn't fool the Lions as Robert Porcher is in on the tackle. I mentioned that Sherrard has not scored a touchdown this season as a receiver. He did score one on a fumble return, but it's interesting that the 49ers go into the air so much. Rice with 10 touchdown catches, Rathman with 4, Waters with 2, Jones with 3, but none for Mike Sherrard, despite having caught 34 passes.
Well, he has a great story there, isn't he? Missed all of that 89 with the second broken leg, 17 receptions in 90, 24-91. This year up to 34. He's getting better every year.
End of the quarter, Detroit 3, San Francisco nothing. We'll return with Monday Night Football after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Here's night all here on ABC. We start the second quarter. It's 3rd and 9 for the 49ers. From the Detroit 30, Young throws, and the catch is made by Sherrard, but he gets tackled well short of the first down by George Jameson, and the 49ers will have to settle for a game-tying field goal attempt, if indeed that's what they opt to do on what will be about a 4th and 5.
Well, Steve Young leads Sherrard. He's got an easy first down because it was a blown coverage on the part of Detroit. Young, they looked too good. He put it behind him, and Sherrard stumbled, and that was it.
Well, they're going to go for it, as Detroit did. Figuring, what the heck, instead of a 43-yard field goal attempt into a swirling wind, they'll line up to go for it on 4th and 5, and they send Brent Jones in motion. Young gets good protection, throws, the catch is made by Sherrard, and the question is, does he have it? And the answer is no. William White makes the tackle, needed 5, got 3, and it's Detroit's football.
Good coverage by White. He picked up Sherrard coming across the field, was right with him, made the tackle short of the first down. So the 4th down attempt doesn't work. Detroit takes over.
Today, Dan Reeves announcing his own firing at a press conference in Denver this afternoon.
Out after 12 years, 3 Super Bowls, and a struggling season this year.
And I think automatically vaults to the top of the list for any coaching vacancies that there might be around the NFL this year.
A couple of them walking around, Bill Parcells and Dan Reeves now. Both been to the bowl, big one.
Lions take over at their own 23, and off the play fake, Andre Ware going deep, and it's incomplete at the 35 as Don Griffin provided the coverage on Brett Perryman. Good coverage. And it'll be 2nd down and 10. We will talk with Dan Reeves in Denver live at halftime tonight.
I guess the follow-up to that is that one of the names that everybody is kicking around for that Denver opening is Mike Shanahan, who's the offensive coordinator here in San Francisco. And certainly he's spent many years in Denver, and his close relationship with John Elway is well chronicled. And his won't be the only name, but it's certainly one of the foremost.
2nd and 10 from the 23. Ware going to Perriman on the backside, and Perriman picks up 8 out to the 32-yard line. It's going to set up a 3rd and 2. Magruder and Hanks in on the tackle. ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by.
Along that same subject is he has had head coaching experience, albeit with the Raiders, where he was all of 88 for, I think, 3 games in 89.
3rd down and 2, and Barry Sanders smells that 1st down and gets it out past the 35-yard line, tackled by Michael Walter. If the Broncos do indeed go to Mike Shanahan, that'll mean the 49ers again have to find an offensive coordinator, and that's been a launching pad to success. And Mike Shanahan is the man on the left there, wearing the headset. Last year, and of course in years prior to that, Mike Holmgren was the offensive coordinator, coming off a great first year at Green Bay.
And should it be any surprise that other teams want to, in some shape, manner, or form, get some of this 49ers success?
Not a bad prepping place, is it?
No, it certainly is not. And you must give credit to the men who have been head coaches here. Bill Walsh and now George Seifert.
From the 36-yard line, Ware throws, and the catch is made by Campbell, but out of bounds.
Well, they tell us that Ware's got a strong arm. We know that he does, but that was kind of amazing what he did. Off balance, just all arm. He rifled that ball.
I think Andre Ware has thrown Wayne Fonts a curveball. When he decided to start Ware these last 3 games of the season, it was a foregone conclusion, Fonts even saying so himself, that Rodney Peete would be the #1 quarterback next year. And I think Wayne has been surprised by how well Andre Ware has performed the last couple of weeks, tonight being his 3rd start. He has complicated things.
On 2nd and 10, Ware comes back the other way, but the 49ers don't get fooled as Brett Perriman gets gobbled up back at the 30 by Dennis Brown.
And credit Pierce Holt. Pierce Holt sniffed it out, went down the line of scrimmage, and forced the break back the other direction by Perriman. That's just the type of, he doesn't get credit for a tackle, he doesn't get credit for anything. It's just a negative yardage play by the opposition, courtesy of Pierce Holt.
Loss of 6, it'll be 3rd and 16 with 11:48 to go in the first half. Detroit on top 3-0. Crowd has been pretty quiet so far, but you know they'll be noisy later.
Why?
Stay tuned. 3rd and 16 from the 30. And the catch is made up at the 47-yard line, and that's enough for a 1st down. Herman Moore is able to hold on to it. They needed 16 and got 17.
That went right through Sanders' hands, I believe, right into Herman Moore. That's terrific concentration. I think Sanders might have even deflected the ball a little bit.
I think it was intended for Barry Sanders.
It was.
I mean, look,
Sanders right there, number 20. Yeah, he touched the football, and Moore was able to concentrate. And we've been hearing rave notices about Herman Moore, about the way he can jump. He is a former 7-foot high jumper. He has great speed, great hands. Well, we saw some talent there.
Now let's guess what Andre Ware's response will be when someone questions him after the game. Now, were you intending that for Barry Sanders or for Herman Moore? I think we can guess what he'll say.
Looking at Herman all the way, and he got it by David Whitmore, the defensive back, as well. And here's another catch made by Moore at the San Francisco 45-yard line. That's a pickup of 7. Eric Davis on the coverage.
And well thrown once again to the outside. Eric Davis is playing with a bad hip.
Well, and it looks like it just got worse.
I think that we might see the last of Eric Davis.
Yeah, he was a questionable starter tonight to begin with.
When Herman Moore is coming at you and you're a cornerback, that Herman must look like a real monster.
Oh.
Is that sick? I mean, that's it.
Well, that's the last one.
Too early.
7-foot high jumper. He's got it all. And obviously I don't.
2nd and 3. Here is Sanders inside the 40, inside the 30, all the way to the 20-yard line. Barry Sanders run out of bounds by Don Griffin. And we've got an injured Lion back up at the 44-yard line. And that is Scott Conover, the left tackle. So an injury timeout with 10-12 to go in the first half. It remains 3-0. San Francisco, 10-10 to go in the first half. Lions lead 3-0, and Detroit has a first down at the 49 or 21-yard line with Ware faking to Sanders and coming back this way to Herman Moore, and he's taken down at just about the line of scrimmage by Dennis Brown.
Dennis Brown seeing a lot of action tonight because of Kevin Fagan, who had arthroscopic surgery on his elbow. He should be back in a couple of weeks, but Dennis Brown pursuing all over the field.
Well, Dennis fills out a helmet, doesn't he?
Oh, he does. He fills out the whole jersey and the pants and everything else, about 290 of him. Not all that high either, 6'4".
And there's Lomas Brown, a man who's going to be a free agent at the end of this season and will be one of the most sought-after players in the league. He is one of the best left tackles in the business.
2nd down and 10, and here's a sack by another Brown, Dennis Brown again. Dennis Brown beating Lomas Brown that time.
He is all over the field tonight. Coming into a looping situation that gives the appearance that he does come in. Working over in the right side, getting away from Bowens. He is so quick.
I stand corrected.
He could have beaten him too.
Such as an offensive lineman's plight.
That's right. I'm leaving that to you from now on. Well, you talk about an offensive lineman's plight, but the Lions this year,
there are
a lot of injuries up front, and it's reflected there.
And the loss of Eric Candlestick and Mike Cofer.
3rd down and 19, and here is Sanders. And Barry Sanders is dropped at the 33. So Barry got him to the 21-yard line, and then the Lions move back another 12. And they're going to send in Hanson to attempt what's going to be about a 50-yard field goal.
Well, now he's kicking the opposite direction.
First player in NFL history is Barry Sanders to reach 1,500 yards from scrimmage in each of his first 4 years. He did that on that 24-yard gainer down to the 21. Now Hanson to attempt a 50-yard field goal. Jim Arnold to hold to try to put Detroit up 6-0 into a swirling wind, or with a swirling wind. Take your pick. And he's good.
He smoked that. That was a line drive, and that was good. That might have been good for another 5.
What are the 18 out of 19 now?
44-yard field goal and a 50-yard field goal now, and it is 6-0 Detroit. To go in the first half, a lot of people thought that it was a reach for the Lions to pick Jason Hanson in the 2nd round. He was the 56th player chosen overall. They had Eddie Murray through all those years, but Wayne Fonster told us today, he said, this guy's going to be my kicker for 10 years.
The 18 of 19 now, and the only one he's missed is from 57 yards in that run.
That one would have been good from 57 yards.
6-0. The Lions lead it, and Hanson sends this kick down to the goal line. Marc Logan, the former Miami Dolphin, up past the 30 and run out of bounds, and a flag is thrown, and a couple of flags, in fact, go down at the 31 as Ray Crockett guided him out of bounds. It's been a relatively penalty-free game. Haven't heard much from referee Gary Lane tonight.
I'm sure no one's happier about that than Gary.
And that'll go against the Lions, so they'll tack on a few more.
That's Melvin Jenkins, number 24, pursuing, but
Face
the face
mask.
mask is actually
5
by
yards.
Ray Crockett, I
Kicking
believe,
team.
number 39.
5 yards. First down.
So it was only a 5-yard penalty. The 49ers will have good position. But again, another look at Jason Hanson's official 50-yard field goal. But you be the judge. From how much farther out would this have been good? I say easily 5.
Michaels, Frank Gifford, and Dan Deerdorf, the 49ers, 1st and 10 from the 36-yard line. And this is the rookie Amp Lee out of Florida State, the backup to Ricky Waters, as the 49ers appear to be well fortified in the running back department for years to come. And a shot there, Candlestick Park, on a cool night, damp night. And the Goodyear blip is now up because of the weather earlier and the rain showers in the area and the swirling winds. It was grounded, but up and flying.
Had it been up earlier, it would have been in Nevada.
Yes.
Blowing around here.
2nd and 7. And this is Rice making the catch for a first down and tackled at the 43 of Detroit. Jerry Rice.
Well, one thing Jerry Rice gets is a lot of respect. The cornerback playing outside him about 4 or 5 yards. The deep coverage from the inside back about 8 or 10. And in a full sprint is Melvin Jenkins. I'm out of here. I'll take you deep, baby. You're not going to get behind me. And Rice with that patented sprint across the middle that he's broken so many times for the 6.
His 80th reception of 1992.
And
he's
scored
done it
well over 1,000 yards.
for 4 consecutive years. Toss in at least 10 touchdown receptions in each one of those 4 years. Pretty consistent performance by number 80.
First receiver in NFL history to accomplish that over 4 consecutive years.
He may
the
make
fake to
something.
lead and the fake the other way. And then Jones is wide open over the middle. Takes it to the 20-yard line. A beautifully conceived and perfectly executed play for another first down. 23-yard pickup.
Well, it only works if you can't get a pass rush. And the 49er offensive line has just throttled the Lions in their attempt to rush the passer. When you give the quarterback the time to fake to one side of the field and work it like Steve Young is working it here. Look at this total absence of a pass rush by the Lions. I mean, that's suicide.
And Brent Jones hanging in there. He came in motion, set up to block the tight end. Faked the block. Took it right down the middle, wide open.
1st and 10 at the 20. And there's the pass rush. And then some. Tracy Scroggins, the rookie from Tulsa, flies in and dumps him, a 9-yard sack.
He has really emerged over the past few games. He replaced Mike Cofer, one of the great pass rushing linebackers who is out for the season. There's Mike Cofer out with a knee that is going to take a lot of effort and a lot of work on the part of Mike Cofer to get him back. Tracy Hayworth also is lost to the Detroit Lions, so they have lost 2 good pass rushers, and Scroggins has really taken up the slack. A lot of speed, he's very quick. That's his 7th sack of the season.
Unblocked, too, I might add.
5:25 to go in the half. 6-0 Detroit. 2nd down and 19 as Young retreats. And he guns it to Jones, who takes it to the 5, and a 1st and goal. Brent Jones.
Brent Jones is as good a receiving tight end as there is in football. I know you think Keith Jackson, but over and over, Brent Jones is the man who makes the big play. I don't know the numbers on it, but particularly on 3rd down plays. You try to cover him with a linebacker. You try to pick him up with a hard-hitting safety, and you're not going to cover Brent Jones. He is just very quick, a very unlikely-looking receiver, but he gets downfield as good as anyone around.
But, Frank, he has the best job in sports. How would you like to be the tight end with Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Mike
Exactly.
Sherrard on the outside, sucking the defense out towards
And I
him?
bet they are glad they've got him on the inside.
1st and goal from the 5-yard line. Young throws, a great catch is made by Rice, and a terrific play by Crockett to keep him from going into the end zone.
That was a great play by Crockett, and Rice had the momentum to carry him in. Just a good effort on the part of the cornerback, Ray Crockett. So many times you've seen Rice take that same pass, lean across the end zone, push the ball out there. He tried to do it there and just couldn't get it in.
Young is now 9 out of 12. The 3 he's missed on were 2 drops by Rice and the pass to Sherrard where he had a foot out of the end zone.
How about the hands there by Jerry Rice?
On 2nd and goal, they give it to Logan, and Logan is stopped short of the goal line. It'll be 3rd down and goal. Kelvin Pritchett in on the tackle. And if you're getting home a little late, wondering about Joe Montana, yep, he's going to play tonight, as you all know. Question was when. It appears it'll be the second half, even though there was a possibility we might have seen him in the first half. That is diminishing now. We've got a penalty here against Detroit. That's half the distance. It's about 2 inches. Also, stay tuned at the half, because as we've mentioned, Dan Reeves announcing his own firing today, and we have Dan live.
Offside, defense, number 92, in the neutral zone for snap, half the distance to the goal line, repeat, second down.
Detroit has not been cooperating in George Seifert's plans to work Montana in. They have been controlling the ball much of the first half. He had not made up his mind going into the game, at least a half hour before the game, as to exactly when he would play Joe Montana, although he has said he wants to give him a lot of time tonight.
Second and goal inside the 1 yard line. Lee is a tailback, and
that's no play. Mark Spindler got called last time for the offsides, and that was Spindler again that came across and actually touched one of the 49er offensive linemen.
Steve Young has got a little hard count. John Elway.
Defense, number 92, half the distance to the goal line, remains second down.
John Elway has one of the great hard counts to draw off defensive linemen. Steve Young's got a good one too. Just a little bob of the head. We saw Spindler making contact.
still second down and goal from inside the 1 yard line.
Quarterback sneak territory now.
Here's Logan. Touchdown, San Francisco.
Strong block at the point of attack. Wallace, McIntyre, Jamie Williams, the tight end of that side.
And Logan, the former Miami Dolphin, is a big back filling in for Rathman. Maybe he doesn't bring everything the Rathman does to this 49er offense, but he's big, 6 feet, 212, 215 pounds, and he just bowls it away into the end zone. Jerry Rice with a good screen block, or a good screen effort. And leading the way is number 61, Jesse Sapola, and Jamie Williams, the tight end.
I'm sure Rathman will thank us for that shot. Here's Cofer for the point after. Well, it's live television. What can I tell you? Right? 49ers have the lead. 3:14 to go in the half. Sorry, Tom. 7-6. San Francisco back after this feature on what's new in the world of sports. Hovering above Candlestick Park in San Francisco on a blustery night, but after a full night and a morning and an afternoon of a lot of rain, it's been dry throughout.
This is far better than we were expecting. An hour before kickoff, you couldn't even see the other side of the stadium. The rain was falling so heavily.
Mike Cofer's kick is fielded at the 8-yard line. This is Brett Perryman. Well, it's another decent run back for Perryman, who also had a good one negated by a penalty on the opening kickoff. 3:05 to go in the first half. The Detroit Lions now trailing for the first time in the game. 49ers leading 7-6, and Detroit a 17-play drive on their opening possession and then a dozen plays on their next possession, but they had to settle for field goals on each occasion.
And I cannot recall a half of football that has moved at this pace.
Yep. Game is about an hour old with 3:04 to play in the half, and Sanders stopped by Pierce Holt, who wrestles him back at the 36-yard line.
Barry Sanders is running the football and running it well, and they're blocking for it while you get short football games. They keep it on the ground. He just motors and keeps running up the first downs.
It's okay with this crowd because this crowd came here tonight. Well, for one thing, as Ricky Waters makes an early departure, he's had a sore shoulder. But this crowd gathering, and I think the reason we have so few no-shows tonight with pretty bad weather is the fact that they're all here to welcome back number 16, which they will do in the second half when Montana plays. Second down and 4 from the 36-yard line. Ware escapes and seeks the first down and has it as he gets to the 41, run down by Romanowski and Hanks.
Another good move by Andre Ware. That was an instinctive move. He's a good athlete. Maybe it's taken him a while to learn all the nuances of the quarterback spot, the offense of the Lions, but he is a fine athlete.
2-minute warning at Candlestick. 49ers 7, Lions 6. Backs man on the left, Eric Kramer, was the Lion QB in the NFC Championship game last year, Detroit and Washington. Man on the right, Rodney Peete, who has been supplanted, at least temporarily, as number 1 by Andre Ware, the 4th-year quarterback out of the University of Southern California.
Peete started the first 9, then Kramer came on for 3, and then Peete came back for 1, and then it's been Andre Ware.
Total yards are dead even, but they've done it in contrasting fashion. Lions on the ground, Niners in the air. 1st and 10, Detroit from the 41. 2 minutes to play in the half. And Ware's pass is caught by Moore, who is gang tackled by 3 49ers at the 47-yard line. Don't forget at the half, sights and sounds of the NFL in the year 1992. And Dan Reeves out after 12 years at Denver. We will talk to Dan Reeves live at halftime. And then in the second half, Joe Montana. 2nd down and 4. And Ware stops the clock as he's close to a 1st down. He wants a flag for a late hit by Merton Hanks and doesn't see one.
Well, I'm surprised there wasn't one. Ware was a good 2 or 3 yards out of bounds when Hanks came flying in and hit him.
And I thought Andre Ware was going back and attacked Hanks. He gave it a little run. Here comes the hit.
The contact comes a good 2 yards out of bounds. But not deemed worthy of a penalty by the official on the spot.
A little more ruckus had that happened on the opposite side of the field, I can assure you.
Maybe so.
1st and 10 at the 48-yard line. And that's batted and incomplete. Batted by Tim Harris.
He has given the 49ers everything they thought when they got him from Green Bay. It allowed the Niners to deal Charles Haley to Dallas. And he came through in big fashion this year. 14.5 sacks coming into tonight. Steady on the run, and he has delivered big time for George Seifert. That's just instinctive, getting the hands up in the air when you sense the pass is going to be released.
He made that trade with Haley possible, if not necessary. He has really had himself a fine year.
2nd and 10 at the 48, 1:21 to go in the half. Good protection for Ware, and then the pass is behind Herman Moore, who found an open spot at the 34-yard line. 3rd and 10 upcoming.
I think the quality of quarterbacking that we've seen here in the first half by both Ware and Young is, I think, quite good, given the fact the wind is swirling from all different directions down on the field, and it's a factor every time one of them throws the ball. I think
you saw right there, Dan, that was a poorly thrown ball, but was it a poorly thrown ball or maybe a 30-40 mile-an-hour gust of wind just caught it?
Yep.
I think by and large the accuracy of their throws has been pretty darn good.
And remember, there is no such thing as a prevailing wind at Candlestick Park. If anybody ever tells you there's a prevailing wind, they don't have a clue. It is 3rd down and 10 at the 48-yard line. And that pass is incomplete, intended for Herman Moore, and it will be 4th down, and the Lions are now forced to punt. And Davis is shaken up again. Davis with that hit pointer, and it looks like he'll need all of the next 2 weeks to get ready for the playoffs. 49ers off next week.
That was Pierce Holt putting the pressure on Ware and forcing the errant pass.
Alan Grant, former Colt, drops back at the 10-yard line. Speaking of the Colts, I mean, you just got to hand it to Ted Marchibroda.
Yes, he done it.
Unbelievable. 9-7 after a 1-15 year. Arnold sends this one into the end zone. He tried to angle it, but couldn't get it into the corner. And it will come out to the 20 with 1:05 to go in the first half.
Ted would like it if you handed him that 5th place schedule again.
You know, it's a funny thing. The Lions will conceivably wind up in a tie for 3rd, 4th, and 5th place in the NFC Central. They'd lose all of the tiebreakers, which would mean
you win.
Which means you win. You lose and you win because it means you get the last place schedule next year. And as we have told you, Dan Reeves is in Denver out after 12 years, and there is Dan live, and he will join us at halftime from Englewood, Colorado, just outside of Denver.
Just go back into coaching, Dan. Don't go into broadcasting.
From the 20. It's dropped by Amp Lee. Second down.
But the NBC's already been in touch with him. They let them all through there.
Yeah, it's a halfway house for coaches, isn't it?
I'm glad to see it's somebody else that stirs it up for a change.
Yeah, maybe Danny can get a little skiing in. He loves that too.
Well, I reiterate what I said earlier. He vaults right to the top of the list.
Well, he has been already talked about heavily in New York, in Phoenix.
Well, now remember, those jobs aren't open right now.
That's been talk.
Amp Lee to the 30. There's enormous speculation in a number of areas, and in terms of that speculation, there's been nothing concrete in the last 24 hours. From New York, as Young takes a timeout, from Phoenix, and from any other locale.
And we'll see nothing like we saw last year, where there were, 9 jobs opened and filled? And I don't think that we'll see anything approaching a turnover like that here after the 92 season.
We've seen so many superb jobs this year. We talked about Teddy Marchibrodo a minute ago, and Denny Green up at Minnesota. What a superb job he's done. And how about Lane Fonts? Now, he struggled through an unbelievably tough year. We talked at the top of the show of the multiple injuries, the personal tragedies that have befallen this team.
Wayne has a meeting coming up with William Clay Ford, the owner of the Lions franchise, where they're going to evaluate the Lions staff, and there's been a great deal of speculation in Detroit. That's Dan Henning from behind, the offensive coordinator. A great deal of speculation in Detroit as to whether or not there'll be some changes on the coaching staff. Woody Woodenhofer there, the defensive coordinator, and this is a difficult time of the season for any coach on a losing ball club. Everyone's job is at risk.
Great profession, isn't it?
Yes, you better make friends with real estate agents. You better plan on moving every couple of years.
From the 30, Young hitting Amp Lee. He takes it to the 42. That's a first down. Clock down to 31 seconds, and the 49ers spend another timeout. They have one remaining. George Seifert, well, he was the longtime defensive coordinator with Bill Walsh here, a man kind of in the shadows, as were so many assistant coaches, but he has emerged.
But by choice, don't you think?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
He's been here 14 years, and 6 years defensive coordinator, and he just quietly had the best unit, even though the offense was much more publicized. That defensive unit of the 49ers was responsible for so much of their success.
The worst loss he suffered as the 49ers head coach was an 11-point defeat a couple of years ago to the Rams. And to go back to a worse defeat, well, when Columbia beat Cornell. I mean, when Columbia beats anybody, it's news, but that was in '76, and George was the head coach of the Big Red.
When you look at the average margin of victory in the National Football League this year, and it's somewhere up there around 14 or 15 points, and you look at teams, even good football teams, that get blown out. Dallas had it handed to them by Philadelphia. Buffalo has been handled. That's Carmen Policy, the president of the 49ers. That George Seifert's worst loss in his tenure is only 11 points is remarkable.
Here is Jerry Rice making the catch, taking it to the Detroit 33, and the 49ers trying to save that last timeout as Young guides them up to the line and grounds it with 16 seconds, so he saves the timeout, and he has a second down at the 33, and in what might be Young's final drive of the regular season, he's going to make it as if it's the playoffs, make it look like it's the playoffs anyway.
Again, Jerry Rice wide open as he was given so much room by the cornerback, and the deep man, number 32, is looking for help from the inside, but he plays way off. That's Willie Clay, and he's Rice wide open for big yardage. Can't blame him, though, for playing off Rice. You never know when he's going to take it deep.
49ers still with a timeout left, and Young guns one, and that's knocked down. Jerry Rice, the intended receiver, and Clay came right over the top.
Good play that time by Clay, rookie out of Georgia Tech. Still have time for one more play. Now Rice, knowing that Clay has been playing way off, drives it upfield like he's going to take it deep to the end zone. Clay looks him right in the eye, comes back and makes the play.
That ball was just a shade late in arriving. Rice made his break. If the timing was just a shade better, it would have been a completion.
On 3rd down and 10, this is Lee getting them into field goal range to the 21-yard line. They stop the clock, and that will set up a field goal attempt of about 39 yards for Mike Cofer.
And what a great call, too. Detroit sitting in there, prevent defense, thinking pass. You go with the draw, get Cofer within range.
Cofer is not a common name. I've never met anyone named Cofer until Mike Cofer and Mike Cofer. I mean, each one of these teams has a Mike Cofer. Spelled the same. It's one of the NFL's oddities. Been giving it a great deal of thought lately.
I can see you pondering that.
Odds and ends. That wins the Danny Award for odd and end of the year.
I mean, Mike Cofer. And now the Lions Cofer is Michael Cofer, who we showed you earlier on the sidelines, and this is the 49ers Mike Cofer.
You can call me Ray. This is a 40-yard attempt officially. And Cofer's kick, no good.
His did not hook in, as did the attempt from Jason Hanson earlier.
And Cofer upset about something.
Well, the crowd gets on him. I mean, Mike has not had a scintillating year. A couple of years, in fact. And the crowd lets him know it.
Relatively accurate from this distance, not a long kicker, but he was counting on the same hook to the inside that we saw earlier with Jason Hanson. He didn't get it.
You can see he's distressed. That is not a good thing for a kicker to do, to allow the crowd to get to him so easily. It was not a good snap. Now keep that in mind. The snap was well behind, and whether or not that had any bearing on Cofer's kick or not. But as a kicker, you better be impervious to crowd's reactions. You have a bad kick, you've got to be able to put it behind you. Thin-skinned kickers don't survive long in the NFL.
Or either that or don't show it, because you'll get a lot more of it.
Where on what figures to be the final play of the half, and Herman Moore goes down at the 46 of San Francisco. And here's how Cofer goes off the field with the 49ers after missing a 40-yard field goal attempt. A little salute to the crowd. They'll see Montana, though, as will we, in the second half, 7-6, with Dan Reeves coming up at the half after this message from the end
of this 1992 season.
You get where you feel like you can rush the quarterback. You understand? Yeah. Rush the quarterback. We're going to be here all day, baby. I like this kind of party. I like this kind of party.
Jets are going to win this football game for Dennis Byrd. D-Bird, this is for you, baby. D-Bird, baby.
I know it looks stupid with both these hats on, but when you get them, when you put 56 on the scoreboard, you can wear hats like this. I might get me a third one, just because I can.
Always a tough man. You got to give him his credit. He might come back. We ride from Buffalo with your prediction all the way back to Miami. And you're Buffalo back. We all this back. Yeah.
Marc Logan is now number one, the most prolific pass receiver in the National Football League's history. Highway 101 belongs to Jerry Rice. Next exit, Hall of Fame.
Pasadena comes through Candlestick now, baby.
We're back, and he's back. Joe Montana ready for action. And it's going to happen in the next minute or so because the 49ers will receive the second half kickoff. The crowd was chanting Joe, Joe, Joe as the 49ers came out. He's going to see his first action in almost 2 years. The kickoff by Jason Hanson, fielded by Grant. They can't wait for him to be tackled because now number 16 is going to come out on the field.
They're waiting.
And all is right with the world once again.
Why not? Right to the air. Why not? Completed pass. Marc Logan.
I think he could have spiked it, and he got the same ovation.
Isn't this where we left off? Drops one over the middle.
You know, you listen to Danny Reeves talk about the Super Bowls and how difficult it is even to just get there. This is a guy that's won 4 of them.
And another milestone, he just went over 35,000 yards. Second and 6 at the 22-yard line. Amp Lee to the 24-yard line, and they'll set up a 3rd and 4. Lawrence Pete makes the tackle.
I think you could make a strong case that he's the best third-team quarterback in NFL history. Tonight, trying to work his way up to number 2. And of course, there's the guy who's on the bubble and really gets a great deal of credit here in San Francisco. George Seifert, quick to point out that Steve Bono has been marvelous throughout this entire operation of Joe Montana coming back, because Bono is a fine quarterback in his own right.
The crowd can't wait for Montana to Rice. Rice is in motion. It's 3rd and 4. He drops it off into the arms of Amp Lee. Lee can get only to the 27-yard line and appears to be a little short of the first down.
You know, and Dan, you touched on Steve Bono making this all work and work so well for the 49ers. So too Steve Young, who went through this all last year when he won the NFL passing title a year ago. He's running away this year with a 107 quarterback rating. Joe Montana only exceeded that rating one time in his 12-year career. The numbers that Steve Young has put up this year. They have been quality guys, all 3 of them, and it's hard to imagine what it really goes through their heads. They're all great quarterbacks.
Klaus Wilmsmeyer's first kick of the night bounces at the 40-yard line and rolls inside the 29. Jeff Campbell having trouble gauging it in the swirling wind, and naturally Mel Gray would be back under normal circumstances, but he's hurt, so Campbell fills in. And ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Chrysler Plymouth, a division of the Chrysler Corporation. By Budweiser, the king of beers, to remind you friends know when to say when. And by Thrifty Car Rentals, because it's your money. Well, one thing we didn't even detail tonight is the fact that, for people who don't know, Joe Montana was out for the better part of 2 years because of an elbow problem that required twice major surgery, major elbow surgery, and a couple of other incisions, and a lot of rehabilitation, obviously. At the 26-yard line, Andre Ware's first pass in the second half is a one-bouncer to Aubrey Matthews. Second down.
And when you talk about Montana, you're not talking about a perfect body to begin with. Remember the major back surgery that he came back from years ago, knocked out of that game in the Meadowlands. And so Joe Montana is fighting, coming back from surgery to his arm. He has a chronic back problem, and he is no child. Joe Montana, in what, 37 years old?
Will be 37 next season.
Next season. That's and yet here he is, and that speaks to his competitive nature.
Second and 10. Here's Barry Sanders for a minute of the game. The other thing about Montana, the last time he played in a game that meant something, it was the NFC Championship game after the 1990 season. He was decked by Leonard Marshall and broke his hand, and that's the game the Giants won at the end on the Barr field goal. Had the Niners gone to the Super Bowl a week later in Tampa, it would have been Steve Young because the broken hand would have had Montana on the shelf.
But the inevitability of it being Steve Young still exists. Steve Young is, I think, without question, the 49er quarterback of the future.
3rd down and 10.
He's the 49er quarterback of the present.
Exactly.
And there's a sack. The crowd is really cheering the fact, forget the sack. That means nothing in a game that means nothing to San Francisco. It just means Joe's back sooner.
It really has been a wonderful love affair with the 49ers and Joe Montana over the years, and those 4 Super Bowls and the great games, the catch here against Dallas, all those things that factor into this. Literally a love affair with an athlete. And there have been some downsides to it too. There have been a lot of shaky times for Joe, but most of it has been up, particularly in recent years.
Jim Arnold to punt, Alan Grant to receive it. Low liner, Grant at the 44, and he'll set Montana up in Lion territory at the 49, and back comes Joe with 11:14 to go in the 3rd. Isn't this something? Laugh, the commercial in that break featuring Wayne Gretzky, who's on his way back probably in a couple of weeks with the Kings. Speaking of Kings, Joe Montana has been the king for a long time here. And there is Steve Young, probably done for the night, but ready for the playoffs. Now Montana at the Detroit 49-yard line. 1st and 10. And there's no play. Flag down at the outset.
You mentioned playoffs, Alan. That's what this is really all about, getting Montana ready to see what he could do if he was needed in the playoffs. That's what this is about tonight. It's not about next year.
False start, offense, number 62, prior to the snap, 5-yard, remain 1st down.
Guy McIntyre.
Tough night, too, to come back. Wind swirling, gusting up to 30, 40 miles an hour at times. We talked with Joe last night. He says absolutely no problem whatsoever. The arm feels fine. He can throw off balance. He can throw as far as he did. He can put as much on it as he ever did. So he's very comfortable with that.
1st and 15 at the 46. San Francisco leading by 1 early in the 3rd quarter. And Montana's throw is batted in the air and falls to the ground incomplete. Logan unable to hold on. Jerry Rice right in the middle there along with Logan.
Appeared to be an accurate throw by Montana. It looked like it was right on it. And that was fortunate for the 49ers. It wasn't intercepted. Normally a ball gets shot that high up into the air. Look at Rice make his break to the inside, right in the hands, and actually ricochets off of Jerry's face, man.
I'll tell you, this kind of wind also affects the receiver, too, as much as it does the quarterback. That ball just wavers off the line for just a second.
The Lions were offside.
Down, free play, and Montana's throw, and Brent Jones reaching for it, but couldn't hold on. And another flag is down where Montana is. So you've got 2 separate penalties, and they conceivably could both be against Detroit.
Brent Jones squinched his face up. He made a great effort. That was a very catchable ball, considering it is Brent Jones. He makes difficult catches look very easy, and Joe had this in about the only place he could put it.
Defense, offside,
pretty good coverage.
Holding.
Could have been caught.
Offense.
And Brent
Number
Jones
62.
thinks I should have caught it.
Penalties offset. Replay 2nd down.
You've got offsetting penalties. Guy McIntyre, 2 plays in a row, has been whistled. I think Guy is guilty of overexcitement. He was as excited as any 49er at the return of
Hey,
Joe
how about Wayne Fonts? Even Fonts said, I'll be right with everybody else. If Joe plays in this game and takes the field, I'll be applauding along with everyone at Candlestick.
And then I'll blitz it.
Yeah, then I'll blitz it.
2nd and 15 at the 46-yard line.
I'm sure it was a fleeting moment for Wayne.
4-man rush. Montana steps up. It's Brent Jones. at the Detroit 44-yard line. A move we've seen so many times, feeling that pressure and stepping up and finding the open man.
Tell you what Wayne Fonts was very honest with about today. He said the kind of pressure we're going to put on Joe is to make sure he doesn't slip out of the pocket to his right. He says he is the best he's ever seen at doing that. He's not a great running quarterback, but when he scrambles out of the pocket to his right, he can deliver the ball as good as anyone who ever played this game. And Fonts will try to take that away from him if he can. It's difficult to do, however, and play consistent defense.
3rd down and 5 at the Detroit 44-yard line. Montana hits Lee, and Lee is short of the 1st down. Amp Lee can get only to the 41-yard line. The crowd imploring Seifert to go for it.
Well, I think he might be giving it a thought. He did for a moment.
Yep.
You know, actually, the 49ers coming on the field, the kicking team, they were the ones that hesitated. You saw Seifert say, get out there. We're going to play this like we would any other game, even though we have everything locked up.
George would have been guilty of being carried along with the crowd. This is the only thing he could do.
Klaus Wilmsmeyer, how'd you like to be waived by Tampa and wind up wearing a Super Bowl ring? Well, that could be his fate as he sends one down to the goal line that takes a backward bounce. And the question is, did it get into the end zone or not? One official looks at the other and they say it did. Touchback. Out it comes to the 20. 9:18 to go in the 3rd. 49ers on top 7-0. And this crew will be in the toasty Metrodome Saturday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and then from San Diego, Chiefs and Chargers. Wild card doubleheader Saturday from the 20-yard line, where hits Perryman for a gain of 3 up to the 23. 49ers on top, 7-6.
Sorry, how about the Redskins going to Minneapolis to play the Vikings, having to get aggressive and hostile with a team that did you the biggest favor of the football season by beating the Packers and putting you into the playoffs through the ultimate back door.
And playing them again.
They ought to walk, the entire Redskin team ought to walk across the field before kickoff, thank the Vikings personally, and then say, let's get it on.
Yep. And it's a rematch of a brutal game, too, that the Redskins won 15-13, but they didn't score a touchdown.
2nd and 7, and it's started to rain as Sanders steps out of bounds at the 28-yard line. We've got a slanting light rain. Mike Walter running Sanders out. It's been a very breezy and stormy day in San Francisco, but we've avoided the rain until now during the game. The Goodyear Blimp Eagle.
And as you well know, Al, it doesn't take very long for this kind of rain to affect this field.
Or that blimp for these winds.
I think the blimp may be headed for safer climbs here in a hurry.
Wherever Blimpdom is, out of here.
3rd down and 2 from the 28-yard line. Ware's pass, incomplete. Crowd, of course, is ecstatic again because it means Joe will come out again. To understand the 49ers and Montana and the whole thing, you go back to the fact this was the original franchise for San Francisco. Before the Giants and before the Warriors came to the area, and across the bay, the A's and the Raiders, and clearly before the Sharks. So there's been a special love affair between the Bay Area and the 49ers. And Montana, as much as anybody, has been the embodiment of it.
I think the Sharks have infringed upon that somewhat.
They really dulled it.
And you think about, as we have flags all over the place, the great
Full start. Offense. Number 52. Prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty. Remain 4th down.
The 49er quarterback tradition. Frankie Albert, when the franchise was born in the 40s. Then you had Y.A. Tittle. Then you had John Brody. And then the 70s were a disaster period for this team. They were terrible. And then DeBartolo bought the team, and a master stroke brought Bill Walsh in as the coach and GM. And then this guy came along, Montana.
As a 3rd-round draft pick, too. Way down there as draft picks go.
Arnold to punt. Grant. Back at the 40-yard line. Ooh, a tremendous kick that bounces at the 16 and is going to roll dead at the 6-yard line. At the 6-yard line. So we've got a 72-yard punt.
Well, Joe's looking for a challenge. He just got one.
Montana and company with 7:54 to go in the third. 72 yards for Jim Arnold. Montana ready for his third series. George Seifert telling us last night he's looked as good in practice as he's ever seen him.
And Joe telling us that he really has no discomfort in any part of the passing game. He can throw it as far as he wants. He can throw it as many times as he wants. He has no swelling, no discomfort, no pain, and that's a big, big plus.
And I think it's appropriate too that it's on Monday night. So many things have happened in the 23 years of Monday night. It kind of goes with Monday night.
Well, we certainly think it's appropriate.
Yeah,
it's a good thing it did.
Greatly appreciated. This is terrific.
Deeply appreciated.
A game featuring a team that has everything clinched against a team really playing out the string, and a lot of drama, high drama.
Thanks, Joe.
Yes, appreciate it, Joe. At the 11-yard line, after Logan gained 5 at his second down and 5. 49ers on top, 7-6. Montana, and that's incomplete. Jerry Rice streaking downfield with the pass wobbling in the wind, and it will be third down. Steve Young, will he be the league's MVP? That's another matter. We'll get to that in a second. Meanwhile, 22 of the other 44 players beside Montana,
I think that's remarkable.
on the active roster tonight have never played in a game with Joe. Shows you, I mean, it illustrates the quick turnover that you see in the NFL these days.
And some of them are really in kind of awe of him. It's a fascinating situation.
And even with a team that's had such enormous success, they've turned over half the roster. 3rd and 5, Montana trying to get the first down, and he does.
Don't let him run to the right. Wayne Fonts is right.
I'm sure that felt better than any of his completed passes prior to that.
A little smile crossing the lips of George Seifert on the sidelines.
Yeah, doesn't every coach in the National Football League wish they had George's problems with young Bono and Montana?
And Bill Musgrave on injured reserve.
And they will not even address the potential problems until after the playoff season is over.
1st and 10 at the 19-yard line. Logan. 4-2. The Montana story will play itself out, but the 49ers clearly have to keep their focus on what's ahead. They're off next week. Then if Washington beats Minnesota Saturday, then Washington comes here. But if Minnesota wins, the winner of the Philadelphia-New Orleans game would come here the weekend of January 9th and 10th.
By virtue of having the best record, and there is George Jameson down on the ground, and he was nicked coming into tonight's game, and it was questionable as to whether or not he was going to play. But back to the 49ers, by virtue of having the home field advantage, they get the lowest seed all the way through the playoff picture. And they have earned it, as has he.
Injury timeout. This year.
This is not Bruce Colley, by the way. That's former 49er.
49er fans come in all shapes, sizes, and breeds.
We'll see the game through rose-colored glasses.
2nd and 7 as Amp Lee makes the catch a little short of the 25-yard line, and that'll set up another 3rd and 5 for Montana and company with 5.5 minutes to go in a game in which the 49ers were favored by 2 touchdowns and are leading by 1 point, 7-6.
Frank, you touched on it during commercial. This is our most competitive ball game of the season.
1 point.
Here in our final game, 7-6. It's not to be lost in all this, because so much of our focus on the 49ers is this effort by the Detroit Lions in a game that means absolutely nothing. I think you have to applaud them for the effort they're showing. Playing hard.
3rd down and 5 at the 24-yard line. Jones, and Brent goes down to try to make the catch and does at the 41-yard line.
It just solidifies again and reinforces everything we've been saying about Brent Jones and his receiving capabilities from the tight end position. He earned the trip to the Pro Bowl this year, as illustrated by that catch.
Again, Joe being chased out of the pocket to the right, where Wayne Fontes is very open about it. Anyone who's ever followed his career knows that he is very dangerous from there. That ball not well thrown, but Jones went down and got it.
16-yard gain. Jones has caught 5 tonight for 82 yards. First and 10 at the 49er 40-yard line. Montana under heat, and then under the body of number 59, Tracy Scoggins, and an 8-yard sack.
And this might be more important than any of his completions. Is Joe taking a hit, a sack, and getting back up? I'm not sure that George Seifert's all that upset it happened. That might be more important than standing in the pocket unmolested and completing passes downfield. Dust yourself off, take the shot. Joe got away from the first guy, and then right into Scoggins.
Well, he's going to need an arc in a minute.
Oh, and here comes the rain.
It's pouring.
Oh, this crowd on the stage to watch Joe Montana is going to be drenched.
Second and 18 at the 32-yard line, and they give it to Ant Lee, who takes it out to the 36-yard line. This is a site that, Frank, it goes back so long. I've been on this package for 7 years, and Dan 6, and we have not had a game that's had any rain during that period. It's got to be the early 80s.
We're getting enough to cover all those years right now.
Right.
Well, and congratulations to Northern California, because they desperately need this rain. I mean, we'll take a rainy ball game, because these folks have had a drought going on up here for the last 6 or 7 years.
Nearby Sierras are expected to get about 3 feet of snow from the storm.
Third and 14.
Another free play for the 49ers.
And they'll need it, because Amp Lee can't make the catch in bounds. And Robert Porcher came in and leveled Joe Montana. Porcher, a rookie from South Carolina State.
Again, scrambling to the right. Joe wanted to take it deep. He had Rice deep downfield. Rice was covered. He pulls it up.
Ooh. We need a squeegee for our monitor up there. The wind has shifted and is wreaking havoc in our booth.
The blimp still flies through it all.
Blimp can't find his way home.
Well, in this series, Joe Montana has taken 2 good hits and appears to be none the worse for wear.
Third down and 10 at the 41-yard line.
And they find 84 again.
And he finds Rice, and Jerry's stretching, but he's a little short of the first down at the 50-yard line, and Melvin Jenkins leveled Joe Montana that time.
This might be a legitimate go for it here, though. They're going to be inches short, and I think George Seifert's going to let him go on 4th and short at midfield.
Boy, and that was the biggest hit so far. Look at Jenkins, 24, comes on the blitz from the corner. Oh, and Joe doesn't even go down. That's, Melvin Jenkins pulled up. I mean, Melvin Jenkins could have hit Montana a lot harder.
They would have lynched him right here, too.
Yeah, pretty classy move by Melvin Jenkins. He choked his motor in that last yard before he hit Montana.
A very wise move, also.
Well, he could have hit him a lot harder than that and been within the rules.
That's good.
4th and 1. Klaus Wilmsmeyer sends it to the 6-yard line. That's Jeff Campbell with an 8-yard run back up to the 14-yard line, and a marker goes down.
Excuse me while I towel off our monitors here.
All our engineers standing in the background with their fingers crossed, hoping everything doesn't go kaflooey here at any moment. Everything is
yours. I'll get yours, Frank. Kelly, better get Al's.
Could you check the oil too while you're there?
Do you tip?
Well, my monitor's okay.
I live in New York, don't I?
I've got the late local news from Charleston, South Carolina on it. We've got a flag down, Gary Lane tells us.
Illegal block in the back on the return team. Number 35. Half the distance to goal line. First down.
William White.
Well, a successful exchange of field position for the 49ers. They started at their own 6 and now make the Lions do the same.
New Year's Day triple header for you on ABC. Georgia, Ohio State in the Florida Citrus Bowl. Then to Pasadena, Michigan taking on Washington in the Rose Bowl. And then the big one, Miami, Alabama, New Year's night from New Orleans in the Sugar Bowl. All right here on ABC. In the rain, which has lessened over the last couple of minutes. We had quite a squall come through here. Detroit has it at the 6-yard line, and Barry Sanders close to a first down. May have gotten the 10 necessary. Don Griffin guiding him out at about the 16-yard line.
We talked to Wayne Fonts today about Barry Sanders as to his ability on the artificial surface as opposed to the natural slower surface here at Candlestick Park, and so it doesn't make any difference. He can run on anything. We've seen him perform at any kind of a surface, and he was the best I've had, which is a pretty easy statement, I would say. One of the greats.
Sanders got 9, 2nd and 1 at the 16-yard line. The fake, and Ware with a lot of time, and Ware going very deep, and lays one up incomplete, intended for Herman Moore. Moore at 6'3", and Merton Hanks with the coverage, and Hanks one of the bigger cornerbacks in the league at 6'2".
Hanks part of the secondary that's developed over the course of the year. Young secondary to begin with. There was a lot of questions. They had a lot of problems, but they have started to come together, and they are coming together just about the right time as they get set for the playoffs. Starting with a rookie at free safety, Dana Hall out of Washington, who was a cornerback at Washington, and he has improved vastly. Number 28, Dana Hall.
3rd and 1 at the 16-yard line. Sanders, no, doesn't get it. Pierce Holt piercing through. And again, the crowd loving it because they're remaining for one reason. And that's number 16 will be coming back very shortly.
Pierce Holt having a big night. Dan talked about him earlier. He has really been the rock of that front defensive line for the 49ers this year. Michael Carter missing time with a knee injury in November. Missed several games then. Kevin Fagan out of the lineup tonight. Arthroscopic surgery on the elbow.
Arnold, whose last kick was officially 71. This one is considerably shorter. Fielded by Grant. He's into Detroit territory and tackled at the 37-yard line. A 47-yard Arnold punt and a 30-yard return.
And the crowd, I think, senses that this puts the 49er offense into 4-down territory. If they're not close enough for a field goal, I think you'll see the 49ers go for it on 4th down.
25 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. 49ers on top 7-6. Montana efficient, 7 of 9. 6.5 yards per pass attempt.
And one of those incompletions was the long pass down the middle to Brent Jones. The other one to Jerry Rice. Both of those passes hit the receivers in at least one hand.
6.5 yards actually per completion as Amp Lee takes it to the 27-yard line. And that's close to a first down.
Good strong running by Amp Lee, the rookie out of Florida State, who really came on strong a few weeks ago when Ricky Waters went down with a shoulder injury. That's fine running by Lee.
So Montana's back, and oh, by the way, at the end of the 3rd quarter, the score is San Francisco 7, Detroit 6, and we'll return with Monday Night Football. The camera start the 4th quarter. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Dierdorf. The 49ers have a 2nd and 1 at the Detroit 28. San Francisco leading 7-6. Joe Montana, who has played the whole second half, takes that familiar short drop and then throws complete. And forward progress will give Mike Sherrard a first down.
Joe got whapped again.
And he passed another test, though.
I think he's had enough testing in that arena.
Zipping it to the outside, had a lot on it. Start throwing that out to the sidelines, you've got to have some zip on it.
I know George Seifert wanted to see Joe take a hit, and maybe two, but now we're moving into the half a dozen arena as Spindler got him that time. The crowd, though, will only settle for one thing, and that's a Montana touchdown pass.
Joe is 8 out of 10 for 52. And it's incomplete. He led Rice just a little too much. And you mentioned, Dan, that they'll only settle for that one pass. And, of course, if they have their ultimate wish, it'll be to Jerry Rice.
I imagine it'd be pretty high on Jerry's wish list, too. Again, though, a pass that hit Rice on the hands. Granted, if Joe could have thrown it over, he would have brought it back to his body a little closer. But how often have we seen Jerry Rice make that catch?
Jerry Rice also saw Benny Blades zeroing in on him. Hey, I'll get your attention.
I'd be inclined to agree.
2nd and 10. And Montana's got to take a timeout. Play clock was down to 2. Timeout 49ers as they maintain a 1-point lead over the Lions. He sees it at the moment.
Well, at this point, you know, the only thing I concern myself with is what this team is doing. You know, my role with the team is defined pretty well right now. So, you know, Steve's having a great year, and you know, I know that I won't be playing unless something happens. So I have to understand that and sit and try to be as patient as you can. And then when the season's over, then I'll take a hard look at how things look for me in the future.
Would have expected nothing less than that type of an attitude. But it will change when the season's over. Joe has said before that he's not willing to be a backup. That is not the way he wants to see his career end. He feels he can still be productive. And
this is understandable when you've been where he's been.
Just hard to imagine seeing him in another uniform.
Yes.
I have a tough time with that.
Not in the uniform of the city you just saw in that beautiful shot of downtown San Francisco.
It does not compute.
2nd and 10, and the pass is a little underthrown and wobbling in the swirling winds, falling short of Mike Sherrard. It'll be 3rd down.
That wasn't a very good throw. That's the one that he came off of it a little bit and didn't put enough on it because Sherrard was open. This would have been a San Francisco touchdown. He's got the angle. He's beaten Jenkins in, and that ball just nosed into the ground. And yet, what do you really expect from Montana, who has not really played in a meaningful game in almost 2 years? I mean, granted, he's Joe Montana, but we can't expect magic.
3rd down and 10. Montana drops this one underneath, and it's complete to Sherrard. He's tackled at the 19-yard line by Melvin Jenkins.
And we will see Mike Cofer.
49er field goal unit coming out.
And remember the last time Cofer tried a field goal and missed it. Uncharacteristically dirty for a kicker. Mike has been sent packing by a Lion tonight on a kickoff. Remember, he missed the field goal and was booed by the crowd and reacted in a hostile nature. See what happens after this one.
This will be spotted at the 27. It's a 37-yard attempt. Steve Bono will put it down. And Cofer's kick this time is good. Mike Cofer with 13-18 to go has given the 49ers a 10-6 lead. Game of the regular season. San Francisco trying to end it with a mark of 14-2. 49ers on top 10-6.
If you're wondering, that is a Lion that is being pounded and pummeled. That Lion will not sleep tonight.
Which is not the, I'll just let that go on. Which is not the case as far as the Lions football team is concerned, trailing only 10-6. And it is apparent that Mike Cofer, the 49er kicker, has a burr in his saddle. Saw him come off the field after making that last field goal. He's not a happy camper, it doesn't appear.
Joe Montana playing the second half. We talked about the reaction of Steve Young. We've also discussed Steve Bono as Cofer sends this one about 8 yards deep. I thought Steve Bono had the funniest line of all, because there were no plans to get Bono any action tonight. But Steve said, hey, I'm the only guy in the park rooting for overtime.
He and
then we may see him.
He and Joe are very close friends.
Yep.
And we already touched on that has made the problem, the potential problem, the quarterback controversy here in San Francisco, a little less of one. So all three of them have handled a very delicate situation in a very classy manner.
Well, there are quarterbacks who start for other teams in the National Football League that are not the equal of Steve Bono. And he's a long way from starting here.
From the 20-yard line. And that is a terrible pass that is caught by Don Griffin as he intercepts it on a pass intended for Brett Perryman.
That pass surprised Griffin.
Yep. Hit him right in the hands. Andre Ware expecting something different, obviously, from Perryman.
5th interception of the season for Griffin, and that's the game's first turnover.
Not like he wasn't looking right at him. That thing floated up there, and I see it just came out of the hand, either a wind gust or it slipped out of a wet hand.
That was a wobbler.
You can't say the 49ers are not giving Joe excellent field position either.
1st and 10 at the 26-yard line. 13:06 to play. Off the play fake. Good protection. Going deep and incomplete. Good coverage intended for Jamie Williams, the tight end. Ray Crockett covering. Williams, the second tight end to Brent Jones. Well covered all the way.
Crockett with outside position all the way on Jamie, who gave it no move to the inside. He really isn't what you call your basic receiver. He's had 7 receptions all year long. He just sprinted out of that tight end position. There's no way in the world that Ray Crockett is not going to know exactly where he's going.
And Crockett has played a strong game tonight.
Yep. And he gave away 7 inches on that last play. 2nd down and 10 at the 26-yard line. Joe scrambles to the 11.
The crowd held their collective breath.
That scramble had an inglorious ending, but it was certainly effective.
Would you like to speculate that Steve Young would have been going out at the back of the end zone by the time Joe was sliding on it?
It was a gentlemen, hold up your cards and award style points for that slide. That somewhere in the 7 range, I think.
1st and 10 just outside the 10. Amp Lee following Roy Foster. Takes it to about the 8-yard line.
I'd just like to see him throw a touchdown pass so I could get a look at him once again thrusting those 2 arms up into the air. Joe's got a very distinctive touchdown celebration, much storied, much photographed.
You and about 55,000 other bodies in this arena right now.
And our apologies to the people of Detroit. We're not rooting against the Lions by any stretch of the imagination.
They'd probably like to see it too.
Just kind of celebrating this guy's return.
2nd and 8, just inside the 9. Looking into the end zone, too high, intended for Brent Jones. And Kelvin Pritchett, who has 7 sacks this season, is the man who knocks Montana down.
'49ers so often going to Brent Jones from this field position. Very good at getting off the line of scrimmage. And now they are in with 2 tight end offense. Good pressure put on Joe Montana. And maybe try Brent Jones over the other side.
3rd down, and they can actually get a 1st down at about the 3-inch line, but in effect 3rd down and goal here As Montana's throw is caught by Jones.
Joe collected the football.
It might be raining, but for this crowd, the sun just came out.
It worked out exactly the way he hoped. I'm talking about George Seifert as well as Joe Montana.
Cofer's point after is good. And that's what they came to see.
The crowd begins to chant Joe.
Brent Jones, you can't let him come off the line of scrimmage free like that. It's a full sprint. Nobody's going to cover him for that fraction of a second unless you're bumping him or banging him around a little bit. They didn't even touch him. And here's what you're looking for.
Yep,
Dan.
right there. Yep. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So Joe Montana, after 2 years, coming back, saw his first action, if you joined us late, at the outset of the second half. Nibbled and picked his way through the third quarter, and here in the fourth, they set him up in good field position, and he makes it pay off with a touchdown pass to Brent Jones, and Cofer sails this one 8 yards deep. Perryman with a kneel down, and Detroit takes it at the 20.
Has to be a lot of pressure taken off of Joe Montana also. We asked him last night. I asked him straight out. I said, you nervous? He said, not right now. He said, I will be. That headlines, of course, here in the San Francisco papers, and it has been talked about all weekend and all the other games. What a spotlight to be put in. Of course, he's used to it, but you still have to go down there and make it happen, and he has.
And he has a chance, along with some of his 49ers, go after that ring number 5, the unprecedented 5th Super Bowl ring.
17-6 is the score, and Barry Sanders picks up a yard to the 21-yard line with 11 minutes and 5 seconds remaining. Well, this ends the regular season. This game does it, and then, of course, the playoffs begin on Saturday. ABC with the wild card action on Saturday. Our games begin at 12:30 Eastern time. Game 1 from the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Redskins against the Vikings. Following that, Kansas City against San Diego from San Diego. And then on Sunday, 12:30 Eastern, Houston, Buffalo on NBC, and 4 o'clock Eastern, Philly, New Orleans on CBS. The wild card games on January 3rd. At the 21-yard line, first down. Andre Ware giving it to Barry Sanders. And Sanders takes it out to the 39-yard line, and that is a Detroit first down.
We talked about all the problems Detroit has had this year with their injuries, with all the personal tragedies on the ball club. And I think a couple of weeks ago they thought, well, we're going to get this season over with. We're going to kind of quietly slip into next season. And all of a sudden they're thrown right back into the media spotlight because, frankly, of the return of Joe Montana. And they've had to live with this, and it's been all focused on the 49ers and Montana.
Now, in fairness to the Detroit fans, I'd like to see Barry Sanders taking about 80 yards.
Yep. Up to the 41. Well, I mentioned at the beginning.
Considering that he was at the 37, means he goes all the way up into the stands.
Zigzag. Well, we talked about it at the top of the show. It's like, you know, when the Harlem Globetrotters come to town and you face the Washington Generals. So there's Wayne playing the role of, I suppose, Red Klotz tonight.
Red. I wouldn't suggest that to him in person.
He would know who Red Klotz is. Goodyear Blimp has had it, they tell us. So the Eagle will be landing shortly at a Blimp Park near you.
That was a good movie.
Sanders, meanwhile, 18 carries for 96 yards. And the catch is made. A tremendous catch by Herman Moore, staying inbounds, making the grab, and then falling out of bounds.
Well, we got all the superlatives about Moore earlier today from Wayne Fonts, and right there he just lived up to them. Both feet having to come down in bounds. Good athletic move on the part of Ware to get out to the outside. He does things better when he's moving than he does when he's back in the pocket. That's just superb effort.
Sideline management.
And height, 6'3", 210. Beautiful. To mention good body management.
3rd and 1 up at the 47-yard line. 8:35 to go. 49ers leading by 11. Sanders up and over 100 yards and a roll down at the 45-yard line by David Whitmore. So another 100-yard night for Barry Sanders.
Quietly just labors away. He has had just constant shuffling, and the offensive line in front of him all season long, has never criticized his linemen, has never gotten down on them, has never really critiqued their play in any way. His 7th 100-yard game of the season tonight, and I don't know that there's a player around who exudes class quite the way that Barry Sanders does. You know, the ultimate team player.
You touched on something, Dan, I'm sure, as a former offensive lineman, you would deeply appreciate. You don't like that motor mouth back there complaining all the time, and Barry has gone through a very tough time and done it with a lot of class.
Ware scrambling, chased by Walter, chased by Romanowski, and chased out of bounds.
They had 15 different starters on that offensive line over the course of the year.
A lot of different combinations, and especially at the center position, they've had a terrible time.
Of course, as everyone knows, what would be their 2 starting guards. There's Dennis McKnight, who is starting at center tonight, started last week, but what would be their 2 starting guards, Mike Utley, the tragedy last year.
He's the 5th starter at center.
Right, and then the left guard, Eric Andlesick, killed this summer, standing in his front yard. There's Ken Delafour, another one of the guards who's injured and not playing tonight.
2nd and 10 at the 45. And the pass is incomplete. Intended for Herman Moore.
Slightly overthrown.
It'll be 3rd down and 10.
Slightly.
Wayne Fonts.
One of the sports good guys, don't you think?
Oh, very fun, isn't he?
Very much so.
Pride of Canton, Ohio.
I thought you were.
Wayne's got the job down there.
Is he from McKinley?
Yep, McKinley High School. He and his brothers were legends, still are.
How come there's so many legends from Canton?
No, they're legends in Canton.
All those Pucci brothers.
3rd down and 10. And Ware gets sacked by Harris.
Come on, Frank. We couldn't all be glamour guys from Southern California. Some of us had to come out of the Rust Belt and claw our way out. Tim Harris. Right. How gracious of you to agree with my belittling myself like that.
Frank, you're exactly right.
Oh, no. I will not be a party to this.
6:48 to go. Lions force the kick, which means Montana's next series is imminent. Arnold to boot it. Flag is down. Fielded on the hop at the 24 by Grant. He's tackled after a 5-yard return. And Gary Lane to make the call here. Flag is at the line of scrimmage. Ineligible man downfield.
Given the fact the 49ers have the ball outside the 20, I would have to think that they'll just take it where it is.
They'll decline it.
Crowd with simply another ovation for Montana as he trots into the
Ineligible
field.
receiver, downfield on the kicking team, number 51. Penalties decline, first down.
Gary Lane, as good as any referee in the league on the field, Mike. He and his crew turning in a good game tonight.
We're out of here.
$100,000 grant to the Miami Project to Cure Paralysis. NFL Charities was formed by the NFL clubs so that the clubs could collectively make grants to worthy national causes. A wonderful job, of course, done by Nick Bonicani through the years, and $100,000 coming their way.
What great things they're doing down in Miami with the scientists and the medical people.
And there's a perfect Montana pass to Amp Lee up at the 41-yard line for a gain of 17.
I know, Frank, you have a lot of good friends involved in the Miami Project, as do I, and it is, of course, come into play because Mike Utley is actively involved, and it's going down to Miami to work with the people down there, and the recent publicity surrounding Dennis Byrd and his tragic injury with the Jets, and of course Marc Bonicani, one of the founders of that organization, Nick's son, who was rendered a quadriplegic as well. And any work they can do to find some way of rehabilitating these men better, these men and women, would be much appreciated and desired.
There's Rice making the catch, and Jerry trying to scramble for a first down. He gets about 9.5 and is tackled on the other side of the 50-yard line. Montana to Rice. And they finally click. They've come close tonight, but that's number one.
What would be a bigger honor, to receive a Joe Montana pass or to be a quarterback and get to throw it to Jerry Rice? It's almost an abundance of riches.
Well, they'll be side by side some other day in Canton, Ohio.
You got that right.
2nd and inches. Fake to Lee. Montana looking. Sees everybody covered and then scrambles for a first down on the 46-yard line as the clock ticks down to the 5-minute mark.
Montana wanted Rice deep, and he was double covered, as he more often than not is. Crockett was back there, but deep in the middle playing the outfield was Harry Colin, and Montana very wisely pulled it down.
At the 46-yard line now with under 5 minutes to play. Montana playing the whole second half after Steve Young guided the 49ers to a 7-6 halftime advantage. Lee, and it's been Amp Lee a lot tonight. Remember, Ricky Waters is the #1 guy. We saw him get up and over 1,000 in the first half, but he's had that bum shoulder, so they're resting him the rest of this game. He has next week off, and the 49ers next see action on the weekend of January 9th and 10th against either Washington or the winner of the Philadelphia-New Orleans game.
Lee's put in a string of pretty good games. The last 4 games, he's over 240 yards on the ground. Former Florida State star. Picked up the slack when Waters went down with that sore shoulder.
Lee with 41 yards tonight on 9 carries. 2nd down and 6 at the 43. And the catch is made by Odessa Turner, the former New York Giant, for a first down inside the 30-yard line.
That was crisply thrown, wasn't it?
And well caught. That's a tough pass to catch, low and with a lot of heat on it. Odessa Turner is in the mold of these 49er wide receivers. He's big, 6'3", 215 pounds. Superb athlete. And only because of frequency of little nagging injuries, I think that he was held back from becoming a big star for the Giants.
Montana, meanwhile, has gone over 100 yards now, 13 of 19 for 104. First down at the 29-yard line. Lee taking it to the 25-yard line, tackled by Spielman.
You talked about the 49er receivers, Frank. You're right. It's not often you'll find where all the receivers on their active roster are over 6 feet. In the era of small, quick darting receivers because of the liberalized pass rules and what a defensive back can and cannot do. Here you've got the 49ers with 6'3", 6'2", 6'1", and 6'2". That's I wonder if another team in the league can boast wide receivers across the board that size.
You know, it's so compatible with their very conservative, high percentage offense. They like to have their outside people.
Second and 10.
The ball over the middle.
Made by Odessa Turner for a first down, and he is out of bounds at the 12-yard line.
And Montana zipping it to the outside. Got a lot on it.
Well, this is one way to keep most of the crowd here. Not too many people have left. They want him to do it again. He'll try. 2 minutes to go. Son, it's time to expect more from a car. By AT&T, the right choice. And by Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine, tough medicine for tough winter colds.
Of which all three of us will have one after this game.
No question.
Yeah, but we'll be in the warm and toasty Metrodome on Saturday.
49ers come back with their 2 tight ends that got Brent Jones into the end zone a short while ago. He's the man they like to go to down here from this formation.
So Joe Montana now, who's already thrown a touchdown pass to Brent Jones. 2 minutes to play in the game. Niners have it wrapped up, leading 17-6. And the only question remaining is, can Joe do it once again for this crowd of more than 55,000?
Crockett and Rice, bottom of your screen.
Logan. And Logan gets wrestled down at the 7-yard line.
Regardless of what happens in this last 2 minutes, this has been a rocket of a ball game.
Yes, real fast one. Second down and 6. Joe to Lee for the touchdown.
Now all is well.
If I'm Amp Lee and I'm a rookie, I go find that football and I take it home with me. Going to play a long time, Amp, in this league, and I think that you'll want to keep that football.
Well-designed play. Amp Lee, delay out of the backfield, no one even close to him.
Cofer for the point after. So Montana has completed his last 6. He's 15 of 21 with a couple of drops in there. Almost everything has been on target. 126 yards and 2 touchdowns.
After, what, 2 years out? That's not a bad comeback. I wonder if he expected less, though. I really didn't. He seemed so confident. We talked to him last night. Said he actually was ready for the last 4 or 5 weeks.
244 career touchdowns now for Joe Montana. Well, our executive producer as we wind down the year has been Jack O'Hara, and once again Ken Wolf in his 7th year as our producer. A fabulous job. Craig Janoff calling all of the shots for you so superbly. Joe Chavo, nary a knuckle job for the entire season, our technical director. Ben Harvey, our associate director. And our halftime features this year with Dick Buffington, Emily Deutsch, Nancy Stern. All the good folks, Fred King and Mitch Green, our assistants to the producer, who help bring you Monday Night Football as we wrap up our 23rd year. 23 years. Amazing. Steve Hurt, Peter Hurt, our directors of information. And up in the booth, Kirsten Anderson, keeping us all on the straight and narrow. George Hill, our illustrious statistician, and Malibu Kelly Hayes, the valuable spotter. As Cofer's kick is taken by Perryman, and Run up to the 17. And folks, it's been a pleasure working with you all the way up and down the line.
To our
great crew.
And to our cameramen and tape operators and all the techs, you have been, are, and will be into the future the best in the business. It's the best look in the game.
And most of
these rolling across there.
And we'll pack everybody up and head to the frozen tundra.
I'm looking forward to that. Yep. I mean, that's a rematch, the Redskins and the Vikes. What, 5 Low Miller field goals for the Redskins? 15-13 they won during the regular season. Of course, that's Chip's home ballpark.
49ers came across the line. Flags are down all over the joint. And there are the guys who man these cameras, and a special thank you tonight in the weather conditions as they were at Candlestick Park with the rain and the chill and all. So we wrap it up on a very cold night in San Francisco, but with this crowd going home in warm spirits. Montana's back.
Defense, offside, number 97, 5-yard down penalty, first down.
49ers heading into the playoffs, and the 49ers will be favored to win every game as long as they're alive in the playoffs. They'll clearly be favored the weekend of the 9th and 10th here. They'd be favored in a National Football Conference championship game against anybody, including Dallas, and I can't imagine they wouldn't be favored if they get to the Super Bowl.
What do? Play the late game
on Saturday? Yeah. The 9th. Pittsburgh plays early on Saturday the 9th. Here's a throwback to Perryman. And then on Sunday the 10th, Dallas plays the early game, and then Miami gets the late game on Sunday the 10th. 49ers will wrap up the season 14-2. They just keep rolling along. A franchise that, for my money, has become the model franchise in sports. 4 Super Bowls. They've come close on a number of other occasions since Ed DeBartolo bought this team in 1977. And as I said before, the masterstroke was to bring Bill Walsh in 79, the 10-year run, and they pick it up with Seifert and company and don't miss a beat.
What a job Seifert has done.
Yeah,
too.
Frank, I'm glad you're going to mention
I go back to the 6 years that he was a defensive coordinator. That was the unit that was as responsible as any other. I mean, certainly more, I think, than even the offense, even though they had the great names. The defensive unit under this man, they were the reason the 49ers were on top, and they have stayed there. They'll be 14-2 this year. That's just remarkable.
And as far as the players are concerned, well, not everybody's going to say they've been thrilled to play here, but most guys will. And I tell you, if you can't play for the 49ers, I give up. Who can you play for?
Well, I would have loved the opportunity. I mean, the players are well paid. They're wonderful facilities. They win. And you know what you could say about this team that I like so much is their ability to maintain focus. This is a football team with a wonderful work ethic. Even though they have high-profile, highly paid superstars, this team is as level-footed and close to the ground as you will ever find. I find it amazing.
I do too.
I mean, you do not hear wild accusations by players in the press. You don't see boasting by this club. You do not see the players attempting to hype themselves. It's a pretty remarkable group of individuals who have molded and melded into a team.
What do they say, though? It comes from the top, right?
Yep. Well, exactly right. And DeBartolo's done things, and he's done things not only well, but first class all the way.
You know, and Seifert took that first team to the Super Bowl in his very first year. That was really Bill Walsh's team. This is his team now. And if this team is able to go through the playoffs, win that Super Bowl championship, this will be the total trip for George Seifert, because this is his football team.
Wayne Font said something interesting about his Lion team. He wanted his players to study the 49ers. Watch the way they take the field. Watch the way they warm up. Watch the way they break the huddle. Because everything they do expecting to win. And that's a lesson that he would very much like to pass on to his team, as would every other coach in the league.
The crowd was booing because the Lions took a timeout.
Well, I think they've had more than their fair share.
I was over here booing.
They're just trying to get us to the top of the hour.
Well, it's been a long, tough year. And a lot to be done for the Detroit Lions. Steve Young, the NFL's passing champion for the second consecutive year.
First guy ever to go back-to-back seasons with a quarterback rating in excess of 100.
The first graduate of Greenwich High School who
I knew we couldn't get through a game without that.
Went on to become the passing champion of the NFL.
Look at this, folks. Now, I want you to zero in on the 25 touchdowns and the 7 interceptions. A 3.5 to 1 touchdown to interception ratio. That is extraordinary. I cannot emphasize that enough. That is just a marvelous season. And gentlemen, speaking of marvelous seasons, my good friends, thank you.
Big Dan, thank you, gentlemen. Frank,
pleasure once again.
We will reconvene Saturday at the Metrodome. Playoff start, Washington, Minnesota, first game, and then Kansas City against San Diego in the second game. Coming away Saturday.
That'll be 1993.
Yes, it will be.
Joe Montana. Stick him up there, Joe.
Yep. A happy New Year to you all. We'll come your way on Saturday from Minnesota. Till then, Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf. Good night from San Francisco.
New Year's Day, it's a championship lineup on ABC.